really scared, you know. Oh. Let's see when we are starting. Maybe, okay, we're on. So everyone, welcome to AI Sauna. It's an event arranged by Avoin Glam, which is us. It's a working group at Open Knowledge Finland started by Sanna, who is here. There, you can maybe wave a little. Sanna has been working recently in Copenhagen, but we've carried on her work here. And the others responsible for starting this project are, like these are Finnish names, Digitaalisen kulttuuriperinnön pyöreä pöytä, the Roundtable of Digital Cultural Heritage. It's a congregation of Finnish glams. And there's also another joint venture of Finnish glams called Tekoälykahvit. I think it's like very much like a Swedish-related fika. I don't know whether you know this concept of coffee break. We just had one coffee break. So AI Coffee Break is this congregation. So we don't do this alone. Yes, I almost forgot. Wikimedia Hackathon happened last weekend in Tallinn, and there are lots of people who participated that and have already worked night and day, and they are coming here to work even harder on figuring out what is in the intersection of cultural heritage, AI, and glam work, which can mean galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. What this acronym usually means, or how we at Avoin Glam are interpreting it, we call it global languages, art, and memory. But anyway, in a broad term, it's cultural heritage or culture. And maybe we'll give a shout out to everyone who's here. So when you registered, you ticked one of, or like one and more of those what kind of segments you represent. So people who ticked cultural heritage, maybe shout out your name. People who ticked Wikimedia and other open knowledge, shout out your name. And research and education. AI development. Public policy. A few in the back, and creative fields. Good. Welcome all. So I would like to give the floor to Ilkka Jokipi. Ilkka is from National Archives here.
Hi, I'm Ilkka Jokipi from National Archives of Finland, and welcome everyone also on my behalf. It's nice to have you all here in our historic reading rooms. And actually, this room is from 1890s, and this actually links to AI also, because these old books that you see on the shelves, they are the first material that we used HDR, handwritten text recognition techniques on. So we started from the oldest part. I work here as head of unit, and the unit is called Research and Innovation. The unit was formed last year after our organizational rearrangement. And there are 3 AI experts and 5 archival experts in the team. And now we are mainly focused on building AI solutions for the archival use. For example, we have been building handwritten text recognition models that cover handwriting also in Swedish and in Finnish from 17th century to almost present times. And the models actually perform quite well, so the error rate is a little bit over 3.5%. So very readable text. And actually, the hackathons, they have been very important for our work. We started our own AI journey, or at least took the AI more into our own hands. We had been using the transcriber software previously, but the handwritten text recognition we took it in our own hands after hackathons in Sweden, and we have continuous collaboration with Nordic Archives, and we have arranged hackathons with them. We are going next autumn to Copenhagen for a hackathon. But it's very nice to broaden the hackathon collaboration outside the archival field. So very nice to have you all here. And so, yeah, good to have you here. This room is available for us for today and also the one downstairs. So let's have a nice hackathon, and thank you. Thank you for being here.
So here's the program, and I think you are all more or less familiar with it. So we started with registration and coffee, and now we will first go into Inspire Talks after I've gone through my list of practicalities. And at 1 we have lunch, and we convene back here in this room for a discussion. So the panel, the Inspire Talks will be very dense, very hectic, so we don't have much time to discuss, but then we convene again for discussing. And then from there, we pick the best ideas and start developing them and start working on them in small groups, and then we take Sauna. So this is just to see how many things there are in the practicalities list. So actually I went through this, we start by listening, then we go on to discussing, then we work with this open space, we like group work, then we bathe, tomorrow we hack, and then we showcase what we came up with. And then the beginning and the end will be streamed. The discussion actually is also streamed, which was not known at the time of making this slide. So here's the link to the stream. You can find it on the Avoin Glam channel, YouTube channel, under the live tab, or you can go directly to the playlist, which is which lists the different parts, different streams. And here are some of the hashtags and Twitter handles that you can use. And as you can see there in the corner, in the lower hand corner, you have the link to this presentation, and it's you can freely go in there and revisit these slides, so to find the information. And on the top right-hand corner, you find the Wi-Fi for this space and the password. And please report if there are any challenges with that. So here's the space. Take a moment to find yourself in there. So the old reading room, on the top you have the pointer to the space. It is this space. And you've probably seen everything that there is. Downstairs there's coffee and lunch. Upstairs you can go wander through the different routes to the cafeteria if you wish to have your own specific lunch or different kind of coffee or something. And then you can also find your way there through the exterior. So you go out the front door, up the stairs, and into the cafe from the outside. And the wardrobes you found them probably, and behind them you have the toilets. Lunch is served at 1 o'clock, and they are vegan sandwiches and smoothies. And here you have the badges, and you probably found that you got your name on both sides, and then it's upside down, but right way around for yourself to find the Wi-Fi addresses and passwords in each of the spaces. So lanyards, I think you also all encountered these. So everybody's got these basic lanyards. And then we've got these staff safety white extra ones. There are no photos, so if somebody is wearing a pink ribbon, please do not photograph that person. And then we've got this, I don't know if you all took this opportunity, but if you have wiki super skills or like super just skills, and you could help some others doing like editing wiki pages, please have a ribbon like this to mark that. so that people, like if you're ready to help, so that people can ask you for help. So we have also different ways of storing images, and using the hashtag AI Sauna, you can upload them to Flickr, where you have the upload link there in this slide, or directly to Wikimedia Commons. But you can do, both. So if you upload them to Flickr, you can use Flickipedia, which is a recent collaboration between Flickr Foundation. George is here, and then Wikimedia Commons. Here, right next to her, we have Fiona. So a collaboration between these two is Flickipedia, an easy way to transfer from one to the other. And the documentation lives on wiki pages, and you probably have seen these AI Sauna pages on Wikimedia Meta. The sub-pages, the project ideas, resources are the ones that we will be using a lot, and from each of the project ideas there will be a link to create a documentation page, and we are planning to reward everyone who does good documentation. So with some kind of a special swag that we have not ordered yet, but we are thinking about what kind of swag it will be. You have the power to influence this. So again, like if you are in a position to help others with editing, just get the ribbon. For saving content to Wikimedia projects, it is required, it is public domain or openly licensed, and Creative Commons license is the most commonly used license to license openly. And we have a person, a representative from Creative Commons here, Connor, and he will be able to maybe explain more about that to you. And here are the safety numbers. You have them in all your emails. Let me, can I show a show of hands, see a show of hands, if someone hasn't seen any of the emails that I've been sending, instructions, wayfinding? Good, because I got reports that they've been largely gone to trash, so you probably have seen them. Accessibility, as you noticed, if someone needs accessible entrance, that would be downstairs, but we haven't needed one. There's a lift between the 2 floors. And at Urban tomorrow, there's also accessible entrance, and it's also on the 2nd floor, like we in Finland call it the 2nd floor, the one which is 1 flight of stairs up. And this is something that I think you should all already now get ready. Here you have the URL in the middle. It's a Padlet for questions. The schedule for the talks is pretty hectic. We have 10 minutes for the presentation, and we say 1 question per presentation. So it's even for the people inside this room, it might be easiest if you post your question in this Padlet rather than try to say it in the space. And we will ask it, we will put it forward to the speakers, so that you will also have the power of upvoting good questions and interesting questions. And then we have the final moderators here in this table who will be maybe selecting the question to be asked. Right, so I think this is your tool for the whole day, and you will easily recognize it from the color. So just to check, add your questions. Add your observations. Yes, there are 3 columns, as you see. It's not only questions. The one on the left is questions to the speakers, and once they have been asked, we move them to this to be continued column. There you can continue commenting these questions afterwards. And you can also make notes, observations. So if you have an idea, like a thought, based on what has been discussed, you can just post it there, and it can be discussed in the same way. A bit of online to this offline event. Right, so, I didn't, I didn't fix this slide. So there are many of these, I didn't add the titles, I'm sorry. So, our first speaker is Osmo Suominen, and I might leave introductions to yourselves because I think you would be doing it better. But just in short, from the National Library of Finland, and I'm going to select your slides and you can, right. Okay. I may stay here.
All right, thanks. Hello everyone, I'm Osmo Suominen and I work at the National Library of Finland as an information systems specialist. And lately a lot of my work has focused around AI and more generally working with data and metadata and all kinds of applications around that. I also want to say welcome on behalf of the National Library of Finland to the AI Sauna. So we are also one of the organizers of this today and tomorrow's sessions. So especially in the hackathon, we have some materials for you to work on. So at the National Library of Finland, we do many kinds of AI development, and I group them here into 4 categories. On the left, there's subject cataloging and automated cataloging, and then on the right, digitization and discovery. A lot of this is still experimental, and we're just sort of finding our way to know what the possibilities are, but for subject cataloging, that's already established. We have the ANIF tool and the Finto AI service in production, so that's like text classification used to support librarians when they catalog materials. But you might ask, so there's a bit of a tension here between the tradition of being a cultural organization, a cultural heritage organization that has a lot of these traditions, a lot of important materials, and also services to people around that, of course. So we provide access to our collections. And also digital services these days. But how does AI fit into the picture? So does it change things? How does it fit into this traditional role? And one a core part of our strategy is to the word that is sivistys in Finnish, and it's hard to translate to English. In the official English translation, we actually use the German word Bildung. But anyway, we sort of try to uphold this civilized world in a way. But then the AI comes crashing in and it changes things. And so I want to make 5 points about building civilized AI. Our new president is famous for making 3 points about everything, so I decided to go 2 better. Anyway, so 5 points. And the first point is, I might be preaching to the choir here, but anyway, we should use AI to make the world better. And of course, there are lots of problems with AI. You can just see some of the keywords here in the picture. There's bias, there's disinformation, there's spam, there's deep fakes, there's exploitation and all kinds of problems. But we want to find ways to work with AI that are making the world better and not worse. And one part here is, as we are an organization with many professionals working, we shouldn't be aiming to replace those people or just to use AI to make money. Well, we're not a for-profit organization anyway, but still, try to make the world better and not worse. And the second point is to always use the smallest AI that works. So AI can be applied to many challenges that can be framed in a way that you have some data going into a system and some data going out of the system. It can be text-to-text, like translation or summarization, or code or JSON data or something, or images or sound, and so on. But anyway, if you have this kind of situation that you have some input and you need a specific kind of output, then AI is a candidate for doing that. But when doing that, you should keep in mind to try to use the lighter solutions first. So if traditional code, like rules and heuristics, if that works, then stop there. If it doesn't work, then maybe traditional machine learning. If you have lots of training data, then you can apply that quite successfully. If that doesn't work, now the language models are here, but there's also a difference between very small and specialized language models and then these big general purpose language models like GPT-4 or Claude or the other big ones. So you should try the smaller ones first. There's been this recent rise of these small language models. For example, originally started by Meta, who released Llama, and then the newer versions, Llama 2 and 3, and then all the other big corporations have also released their own small AIs, like Phi from Microsoft and Gemma from Google, and so on. And these have actually been quite successful. And in many cases, if you have a special, like a problem that requires some specialization, a small fine-tuned model can be both better and faster than a big model like GPT-4. So here's a comparison from Predibase, one of the providers of AI services, where you can fine-tune a small Llama model to make it more accurate and much faster than GPT-4. And the third point is you should not depend, at least not too much, on corporate AI, because, I mean, they are going their own ways and they have different plans for the world, but I don't think it's right to just follow them wherever they go. And one way of avoiding this is to aim for modular systems development. Here's an example of how we're working currently with these small language models, to have separate environments for fine-tuning and for inference, and then taking some base model, an open language model, and then fine-tuning that for our own purposes, and then running it. But the point here is that we're not depending on any specific language model. We can apply the same process, and if something goes sour, we can switch to another component. The fourth point is just to remember always to evaluate and also to create data sets for that. There are these common questions around AI, like, is it biased? Does it hallucinate? Can you trust it? Does it know my language or my culture? And in general, the answers are often quite pessimistic. Of course it's biased. Of course it hallucinates. No, you can't trust it. And if your language isn't English, you probably you have more problems than if it would be. And of course, also people are usually aware nowadays that the data sets that AI is built on, that modern AI is built on, are heavily biased, and so that's like a very unfair setting from the start, with lots of data coming from Western rich countries. But the only way to find out the real answers to those in a specific case is to evaluate, and here are some examples of how you can do evaluation. On the left, there's a table of evaluation results for our language model experience on metadata extraction. On the right, the evaluation of UNIF subject indexing models. And on the bottom is this LMSys chatbot arena leaderboard, which is like a way where users get to score the different language models according to how well they serve them. So doing something like this is the only way to answer these questions. The fifth one is just to be open and transparent. Again, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but so everything you do and everything we do around AI, we try to be open as much as possible. So the code is open, like UNIF is open on GitHub. We provide the UNIF tutorial so people also can use it and get to know it. And we also document and release our data sets. We have our own data catalog, and then nowadays we've started also publishing AI models and data sets in the Hugging Face Hub. All right, that's what I had to say. Thank you.
I have my question that I posted in the Padlet, so we have to practice that more. If there are questions in the audience, we don't have the running mic at the moment. We have it, so we can use that too. But if you have something in mind here in the room and you haven't put it in the Padlet, please raise your hand. I will ask Osma, what do you think, from the, you are also like a hackathon veteran, so to speak. So what do you think, what would you like us to work on during this event? And what do you think we might find out?
Okay, thanks. We have collected a few data sets for the hackathon. And I think we're going to introduce them later today in the pitching part. But just as a teaser, we have some image data sets that we would like. They are from the Finna service, the Finna Discovery Service. And they are coming from museums originally. And we would like to find out if it's possible to, for example, search the content of images using text, or then to work with the image captions, for example, they are now mostly in Finnish, so would it be feasible to translate these captions into other languages using AI? So these kind of things. Also, we provide some related services like access to the UNIF APIs, of course, but also the GPT 3.5 model and a vector database for building search applications. So I'm kind of curious if this group can put together these pieces in new and interesting ways to help with, for example, discovery of images or with answering questions based on text documents or something like this with our materials. Okay.
Thank you. Oh. We were quick, we are just learning, so we could have spent more time, but we have the chance to talk with Osma over the days a lot. So, going forward, let me see, I'm a little bit of a handicap with this. So, next up we have Eero, who is a semantic web. Well, I'm using the veteran here because we are here with among veterans. but I will also let you introduce yourself, and I might want to make a connection to Wikidata in relation to, well, maybe afterwards. Let's talk about that. The floor is yours.
Yes. Where is the video?
Oh yes, actually, yes. We need that.
Yeah, I will be presenting actually video, so we will be watching videos together, and after that we have a question and answer. But you can have, if you are interested, you can have a look at the video also afterwards, and there's also slides available where the links in the slides are provided. And as Susanna said, I think the most important connection between us and you guys are that we're using linked data on which Wikidata is based on. And so we are on the same genre, so to say. We started to work in 2001, so we have been working around over 20 years now and produced lots of stuff. Two main directions have been evolved in our work. One is building a national linked open data infrastructure so that everything can be done openly and easily.
Oh, microphone?
Yes, sorry. Yes, we are working on the national linked open data infrastructure so that everybody can use it as us for building the systems for free and openly. And on the other hand, we are demonstrating how this infrastructure can be used in real applications, a sample series of systems that I will be showing here that have been used by millions of people already in Finland. And we are using Wikidata more and more, and actually the new samples that we have used, we typically take the URIs from Wikidata nowadays, so it's a very important source for us. And Susanna has also worked, you have provided links from Wikidata to our systems, and we are providing links from our systems to Wikidata and Wikipedia pages. So that's a real practical work.
Yeah. Then there's lots of work to do still.
Yeah.
But would you like to play it already, and can you play it?
And sound doesn't come.
It will, just a second.
Semantic web. I am Eero Hyvönen from Aalto University and University of Helsinki Center for Digital Humanities. We chose to use linked open data as the technical basis for our work. There are several reasons for this. By using linked data, everybody's data can be collaboratively enriched by each other's data instead of publishing data in separate data silos. Everybody wins by collaboration. By using linked data, it's possible to create findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable data using the FAIR principles. This means that the value of the data increases. Finally, creating more intelligent applications for the public, curators, and researchers is possible. When the machine understands the data, it's possible and more cost-efficient to create intelligent applications. Leonardo da Vinci has said, "Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else." This wisdom is very true regarding both national and pan-European cultural heritage contents and the planned European Collaborative Cloud for Cultural Heritage. However, cultural content linkedness gives us two major problems to tackle. The first key problem is that cultural heritage contents are richly interlinked, not only on a national scale, but across the borders of European countries and beyond. We all share common history and cultural background. For example, a book or epic may be the source of inspiration for a symphony, a painting, and is related to biographies of people, cultural sites, objects in museums, and so on. The cultural content includes texts, speeches, images, 2D and 3D models, movies, and animations represented in incompatible formats using different national data models and using different natural languages. The second key problem is that cultural heritage content creation is distributed in different kinds of organizations, including not only memory organizations, but also media companies, land survey organizations, communities producing data such as Wikipedias, as linked data clouds, and different citizens participating in citizen science initiatives. When independent parties create content independently from each other, the result is an avalanche of data silos that do not speak with each other. A painful lesson learned in creating pan-European services such as Europeana is that it is very difficult to make the data silos interoperable and reusable. A solution model to address the two previous key problems is depicted in this figure. The idea is to establish a shared data and ontology infrastructure based on linked data. When a content provider creates a piece of content using the shared infrastructure, the data is automatically interlinked and enriched by the other data provider's data, and their data by the new piece of content. In this model, everybody can win, both content providers and the end users, by getting access to the enriched interlinked data. The European Cultural Heritage Cloud could be a platform for fostering this work. Albert Einstein has said, "Intellectuals solve problems, but geniuses prevent them." This wisdom applies very well to infrastructure building. How to use the infrastructure for applications, sample model and sample series of systems.
Science is vast, and so is the concept of AI. Though based on mathematical thinking, AI also has a lot to offer to social sciences through multidisciplinary approaches. For example, gathering of information. Very often, search engines give irrelevant or uninteresting results, or they can be out of context. The computer cannot comprehend what particular documents on the web are about. To provide more intelligent access for information, scientists have created the semantic web, where contents on the web are made comprehensible to the computer.
Another major benefit of the semantic web is that it can aggregate data from different data sources, even across language barriers. So we can get more data into the systems and in an interoperable way, so that people can be served with not only more intelligently the data, but also more data.
A worldwide pioneering semantic web concept has been developed in cooperation with the University of Helsinki and the Aalto University. It is a series of 12 semantic portals, each dedicated to a certain context. For example, the biography sample is a collection of over 13,000 biographies held by the Finnish Literature Society. These were transformed into a linked data service and enriched by linking it to the data of 16 external sources, such as Wikipedia, libraries, museums, and other archive collections. If you click on a particular biographical subject, you get a lot of interlinked, rich content about them. You can compare their lifeline on an interactive map, or you can select different life events from a list composed from different biography sources.
We have integrated the search and exploration systems with data analytic tools. So you not only get the possibility of search and explore the data, but also do data analysis and find interesting patterns of knowledge in the data.
For example, you can compare the places of birth and death of generals and clergymen in Finland in the 19th century and find out that generals moved a lot more than the clergy, who tended to remain in one place.
We're using artificial intelligence for solving problems. So not only do we provide the user with the tools for solving the problems, but we can provide him with artificial intelligence that can solve the problems by itself.
During the last 17 years, we have published quite a few samples, semantic portals, and data services on the web. They represent a wide variety of different application domains. For example, Museum Finland and Culture Sample are about museum collections and Finnish culture, Book Sample about fiction literature, War Sample and War Victim Sample about war history. There are lots of systems dealing with biographical information like Biography Sample, US Congress Prosopographer, and mapping manuscript migrations about manuscripts. Find Sample is about archaeological finds, Letter Sample about epistolary data, Law Sample about legislation, and Parliament Sample about parliamentary speeches and networks of politicians. This timeline summarizes our work on building and applying the national semantic web infrastructure in Finland in relation to major international developments and phases, where ontologies, the silver bullet of the semantic web, were first in focus. After that, ideas of linked data publishing took off, and during the last 10 years, ontologies and linked data have been studied together as knowledge graphs in various domain-specific application settings. We are now entering the time of AI and neurosymbolic intelligent systems. The work in Finland has followed exactly the same pattern with major projects such as FinOnto for ontologies, Linked Data Finland for linked open data, and various sample projects on knowledge graphs. Also, first steps towards knowledge discovery and AI have been taken. All work has been based on standards and best practices of W3C and others illustrated at the bottom. We have learned that it really makes sense to develop a linked open data infrastructure together with the stakeholders such as data owners. After each step, the infra from the previous steps can be reused in new applications and be developed further. Linked open data infra is also very resilient for different application domains, as illustrated by the sample series of specific systems. We have also learned that it's very important to make application development easy in order to keep the funders and the end users happy. For this purpose, we developed the Sampo UI framework. The idea there is to reuse a kind of standard interface model and logic. This means that the model and the systems are easy to learn by users and easy to be used by developers. The idea is to base application on a simple linked data service API, the Sparkle. The software is openly available in GitHub and it has been used by various groups in addition to us. The Sampo model and portals aim at making a paradigm change in publishing and using cultural heritage content on the web. The contents are published as linked data and also integrated seamlessly with intelligent tools for data analysis. In our vision, artificial intelligence should help the user in solving research problems and also in finding new ones using creative AI methods. In Douglas Adams' novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the computer was asked, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything? The answer, 42, may be right, but it would be nice to know also why. This illustrates that explainable AI is needed for humanities research, and I think that symbolic linked open data is one way to go. Thank you for listening. More information about the work presented can be found on the home pages of the Semantic Computing Research Group.
Okay, thank you.
So looking forward to your overview of how things have evolved over this time, and I would really want to ask you about that, but we have an audience question.
Okay.
So the question is, what kind of data model is this? What is its relation with European and EDM, European EDM data model, or some others such as the CDOC CRM, etc.?
Yeah, it depends really on the application. So we try to use as simple model as possible, but in the most complex, like biography sample that was illustrated here, we actually use an extension of CDOC CRM, because in principle, if you want to represent the real world, you have to dig down to the events that take place in the real world. But then in some cases, like in opera sample on historical opera performances, even if they are events, it was much easier to model them using a Dublin core like metadata model, just telling what the performances are and where they took place. So, and typically we actually use both this kind of deep models like CDOC CRM and Dublin core like sort of document-based models, simple models, because from the end user's viewpoint, for example, the events are often too complicated. And you have to even, in the user interface, you want to show simple Dublin core like metadata to the end users. So we typically actually, we generate, like in war sample, Finnish Second World War on the semantic web system, we have the event-based model that integrates everything there, photographs and whatever events in war. And then we automatically generate from that simple Dublin core like representations that are then showed to the end user if needed.
Okay, let me see the time. I would still love you to tell, what you were going to speak, and you were saying like how we have come from the semantic web over, like how does it connect with Wikidata, for example, and how do these works, the body of work that you have done, and this open space relate to each other, because this is something very interesting, I think we want to explore.
Yeah, well, all the technologies are the same underlying in Wikidata, and we use Sparkle endpoints and triple stores exactly like in Wikidata. And then it's also related, of course, to what Osma was saying here about these LLM models. Because then, for example, when we have learned that we started with structured metadata from museums and so on, but nowadays we are dealing more and more with natural language. For example, the Parliament of Finland system, where we have million speeches of the politicians, we actually had to analyze them using AI models, and in order to extract the linked data out of unstructured texts. So that's very important. So it's an interesting connection. I think this is now actually the hottest thing in semantic web research now, how to combine these large language model technologies with the structured data. And we are, for example, exploring the idea of generating from our knowledge graphs material for LLMs like Llama, and then see how well we can actually create these sort of fit the models extend them to understand the knowledge graphs. So that's an interesting area if you are a researcher now. It's, everybody's speaking about this option. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if the next speaker is prepared already. Ta-da! We are going to. Anyway, I think we have not yet listed materials from the Soundpost to be used in the hack, but I think that we should do that.
Yeah, everything is openly available in Big Data Finland platform, lda.fi.
Yeah. No.
And the codes are in GitHub for both the user interface, for example, and also for the board.
Maybe if you refresh. I haven't done that. Oops. Let me think.
We would have to change the display setting and then also...
Presented view.
Yeah, because you're going to see everything up there. But what we can do, if you go to settings...
I don't know this.
Do you want me to try? Okay. Do you want to chat?
Yeah, I will chat. So Eero mentioned the LDF linked data Finland.fi site.
It's all in Finnish, so I'm not going to manage.
Oh, is it? I thought we changed.
I'll figure it out. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, and did you capture that address? So, yeah. Oops.
I can put it into the resources.
Yeah, or that's great. And you can also, if you want, you can post it to the AR Sauna Telegram channel. It's possible also if you want to present from yours.
Would that plug? No, it's fine. I just need a couple of notes. I'll just click it. I'll do it with
we'll do it separately.
two laptops.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm closing this.
What could possibly go wrong?
No. So, don't go faster. Is this now presenting?
Yeah.
I'm going to, but it's probably, let me check. Is it presenting? Up. Sorry. Up.
Just want to go full screen.
There. No.
Thank you. Sorry for the bother. Hello, it's such a treat to be speaking in such an incredibly beautiful place today, so thank you for that. My name is Fiona Romeo. I'm from the Wikimedia Foundation, where I work primarily on cultural heritage. I'm getting the strong impression that a lot of you here have a pretty good understanding of the Wikimedia movement, but I will speak a little bit about how I understand the intersection between Wikimedia projects and the cultural heritage field. I also want to share a little bit about how we're seeing the role of AI at the Wikimedia Foundation, some of the guiding principles that have been established so far, and then 3 examples of where AI has kind of been used in practice at the Wikimedia Foundation for culture and heritage in particular. So really using open knowledge platforms like Wikipedia and Wikidata is another way that museums and other cultural institutions can co-produce knowledge and meaning with both existing and future audiences. So the most obvious example here that you'll all be familiar with is Wikipedia. And here, I think what's important is you see cultural heritage images are used on a range of articles, from biographies to historic events, and even broader concepts like play and love. So that's a way that cultural heritage information can enter another context and be really relevant to the everyday information needs of people on the internet. But actually, Wikipedia is just one of 13 wiki-based projects that are created through our open collaborative model. And 4 of the projects that I think are particularly useful to museums, libraries, and archives are Wikimedia Commons, Wikidata, Wikibase, and Wikisource. So I think you'll be familiar already with Commons, which is basically a repository of openly licensed media, which is used to illustrate Wikipedia and also close representation gaps online. Wikidata, as we've already heard this morning, is an open and collaborative database that allows people to connect knowledge across both institutional and also national boundaries. Wikibase is basically open source software for doing that yourself, creating your own knowledge bases. And then Wikisource is a transcription platform for books and manuscripts, which is helping Wikimedians create digital libraries for often underrepresented languages. So what I usually say is the collaboration between Wikimedia and museums really promotes open access so everyone can enjoy culture as a global public good. And, on one side, museums and libraries are providing the expertise and essential source material to make Wikimedia projects more reliable, better illustrated, and connected through linked open data. And in turn, those cultural institutions make their knowledge more visible and accessible to new audiences in more than 300 languages. So really, we're better when we work together. And so now we face these new opportunities and challenges that come with sort of rapid developments in AI. And this is a space that the Wikimedia Foundation and Wikimedia movement have been exploring together. We're still in a sort of figuring it out phase, and part of figuring it out is having lots of conversations with people in the movement, knowledge allies outside and adjacent to the movement, and also by experimenting and trying things out. So some of the principles that we've shared so far are this idea that really knowledge should still be human-led, and our project should still be human-led. So AI is a tool that is really just there to support, not in any way replace human participation. And that's a concept and principle that we clearly share with people here because I've heard something similar already this morning. We should also strive for uses of AI that are equitable. So really thinking about building in checks and balances to avoid perpetuating biases or widening the knowledge gaps that we know already exist on our projects and on the internet at large, and really making sure that we're not contributing to any human rights harm. So taking a human rights perspective on what we do. And then transparency, which is a core principle for our movement and our projects already. So making sure that anything we do with AI really aligns with the principles we already have around transparency and verifiability. So really allowing people to understand the source and to verify and correct as well any outputs. And if you want to know more about how the Wikimedia Foundation is thinking about generative AI as it develops, there are two key references I would point you to. So one is a piece that was written by our Chief Technology and Product Officer, Selena Deckelman, which is about Wikipedia's value in the age of generative AI. And she talks about the fact that we can prioritize human understanding and contribution of knowledge back to the world sustainably, equitably, and transparently as a key goal of generative AI systems, not as an afterthought. But there's an essay you could sort of read in full. And then there was also a convening in Bellagio, Italy, between researchers and practitioners to try and map out a kind of shared research agenda. What do we need to figure out? What do we need to research more? And, at this gathering, there were researchers who sort of came from digital humanities, publishers, aligned spaces. And I really like this agenda because it really focuses on those shared interests between, say, the Wikimedia movement and cultural institutions, libraries, publishers, and other knowledge allies. And really, they were talking about the fact that for both of us, it's really important to advocate for the needs of the truth infrastructure of the web. So the institutions that are generating the sources that Wikipedia relies on, like journalism, publishing, academic publishing, museums and cultural institutions. And so how can we work together to make sure that we're advancing or using AI in a way that is productive and ethical? So I just want to share 3 quick examples of experiments that have been happening with AI in the cultural heritage space at Wikipedia. So it's May right now, so we're inviting our movement to really celebrate museums. It's International Museum Day later this month. And we developed a series of posters to advertise and celebrate this important event. And so these are the posters that we generated. You can see there's a Wikipedia globe, and inside you kind of have this sense of there being a museum inside Wikipedia, because really it's the sources from those institutions that enriches Wikipedia. But this was generated by one of our designers using AI-assisted design. So just to share that process a little bit, Jordan McRae started with just a simple AI prompt to imagine a Wikipedia museum. What would that look like? So this is what he got back first. Then he refined the prompts to be compatible with the puzzle globe iconography of the Wikipedia logo. So here you see that sort of inside the globe. And then he did a lot of final cleanup and detailing. So here he was really using AI as a tool, but fundamentally using his design skills of developing the concept, doing the final sort of illustration and resolution of the image. And I think one thing that makes this an ethical approach is some of you may have noticed that recently on Commons, the upload wizard, the upload interface was improved, so that now when you upload an image to Commons, you can explicitly mark that you generated the work using an AI tool. So it will be possible for reusers of those images to really understand how the image was produced and make choices about what sort of images they want to use. They might or might not want to use images that have in some way been generated by AI. One of the main areas where we've been working in cultural heritage with sort of machine learning and AI is something that was mentioned in the very first talk this morning, which is handwritten text recognition for underrepresented languages. So there's a project that was actually started by our Balinese language community called Wikisource Loves Manuscripts. And what's happening here is thousands of manuscripts are digitized to make a particular language version of Wikisource, in this case Balinese. And having created that, the interface supported students and communities to type in their own script, and their transcriptions were used to train a better optical character recognition model that would make it easier to transcribe sort of manuscripts at scale. And recently, the British Library joined that collaboration, sharing their manuscripts with our Javanese-speaking volunteers. And I think, we're trying to make this process as open, transparent, and ethical as possible. The first way we do this is it's human-centered. So it's created, the transcriptions are created by speakers of the language, and the Wikimedians working on this project actually visited all of the museums, private houses, and collections to really talk through how they wanted to digitize these manuscripts and get their consent. As I said, the interface is actually helping students and communities type in their own scripts, something that is not widely possible on the internet for them, and also trained a better OCR model. And the platform we've been using, Transcribus, which was also mentioned this morning, is run by a cooperative, so it's not, a commercial model. And the models are open for everyone to see and everyone to work with. The final experiment I want to share is at a very early stage. So we've been trying to think about how we can improve image description and, crucially, alt text on Wikipedia. So a large-scale study of reader interactions with images on Wikipedia found that readers use the images on page previews to decide whether or not to view the full article. and that they're more likely to open the media preview of images when there's a shorter or low-quality article. And so what this really suggests is that Wikipedia readers, use the images that are illustrating articles to fill information gaps. So they have informational value, not just illustrative value. But while most of the images on Wikipedia have captions, only about 10%, when we looked at this last, had alt text, and actually only about 3% have alt text that is really effective alt text and doing the job that alt text should do. And so when readers can't see those images, they're missing out on a lot of essential information that's in that article. Adding alt text improves access to information for people with low or no vision, but also people in like the global majority who might have reduced internet connectivity and see a lot of broken images as a result. But crucially, it helps all of us because just as another form of image description, alt text makes images more findable through search. So as with many accessibility interventions, you do it with one particular group in mind, but it can actually make things better for everyone. And so we were really trying to think about how can we make alt text part of our practice as Wikimedians, because clearly it hasn't been adopted that widely. And there was a recent piece of research which suggested that two of the things that would really help drive alt text adoption are tools that would surface articles and images without those accessible descriptions, and then maybe mixed human AI systems, since it is often easier for editors to edit an existing text than it is to write from scratch. And so I'll just show a quick demo of what is actually, let me have a look, what is actually in development. This is still at a prototype and sort of research stage. So here you have an editor who's coming along, they're choosing topics that they're interested in editing. There are then a number of different tasks that could be suggested to them. One of those tasks, the new task, is that you can add an alt text for an image that doesn't have one. You get a little bit of guidance about how to write good alt text for images on Wikipedia. You can then view the article to get more context. You can visit the media file page to get more information about the actual image as well. So the editor in this prototype is doing a lot of good research before they write the description. Here they are looking at the image. And then when they go to add alt text, they have the option to just describe the image if they feel that they have the information and context that they need. But they will also be able to get alt text suggestions. So a couple of options and choose the one that looks best to them, and then, have the option to edit it afterwards. So this is just another example of like human-led, AI-assisted type approaches. And, a previous study with suggested text, this was suggested article descriptions, found that actually when the descriptions were reviewed by other editors, there was a higher acceptance rate for the ones that were produced using machine suggestions rather than the ones that were written from scratch. So we have some confidence that this could be a good approach to expanding that alt text coverage. So finally, I just want to share that these slides were really adapted from work by a few of my colleagues, including Mariana Pinchak, Sylvia Gutierrez, Jordan McRae, who was the designer of the poster, and the alt text information was based on a presentation developed with Jasmine Tanner and Angie Chevella. So I don't know if we have time for questions. Yes, if there are any. Thank you.
Let's try more complex technology. Check, check. Check, check. Yeah, we are on. So I was thinking about this myself, and I'm really happy that it came from the audience. The question of where we are, like who decides, it says, how do you work together with a very heterogeneous community of volunteers in deciding how and where Wikimedia Foundation's strategy on the use of AI is put in practice in Wikimedia projects. It's a very difficult one.
Yeah, well, in a way, we already have the processes for that collaboration that are very well developed, because really no new features or substantial design changes happen to the projects without a lot of consultation with contributors. So in some ways, this is no different, except that we probably need to do more to surface the underlying models and decisions that are being made. So one of the first things that our design and development team focused on is really developing model cards for any use, so that there's a very transparent description of exactly how it's in use. There were also, when this conversation sort of really picked up about 12 to 18 months ago, there were a series of calls with our communities. So lots of open discussions, getting perspectives. I think also, our approach so far has been small experiments that build on what we're already doing. So there have been machine learning sort of models and tools for translation and other tasks for quite a while. So it's not like this is completely new either. So I love that phrase earlier this morning, which was about sort of the smallest possible use or the lightest possible use. And I think while we haven't articulated that as a principle, it really resonated with, what I've seen and kind of the approach we're taking. And then even, the research agenda, so the questions we'll really be exploring, was developed through this convening with sort of community and allies. So I think everything we do is already informed in dialogue, and frankly, if our communities and contributors don't like something that we do, they can disable it. So, there's the sort of power relationship, I think, is very different than, say, if you're a cultural institution and you have visitors or readers or users. We already have a model where people are very much in control there. And I think, the example I shared of handwritten text recognition, that was a project that came from communities first. So it was speakers of the Balinese language applied for a small grant to do this work themselves, and then we just came in at a certain point to see how we could help them to scale that. So, it shouldn't really be the foundation in the lead, but the foundation having conversations, creating spaces, reflecting that back, trying small things and iterating, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think this is a perfect segue to our next speaker, who is Johan Jönsson from Wikimedia Foundation as well. I'm going to give you a second in the limelight with your picture. Ta-da! And now to your slides.
Sort of same person.
Sort of, right. Let me see. This one. Slideshow. Here we go. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So, I am going to talk about future audiences, which is part of the Wikimedia Foundation. And just a short recap, because I know there are people here who are not from the Wikimedia movement. So Wikipedia is an encyclopedia that everyone in theory can edit. Wikimedia is the movement around it. The fact that they base Wikidata, media repository Wikimedia Commons, dictionary Wiktionary, and so on. That's the big tent. And the foundation is the non-profit, which owns the trademark and the wikis, as in the web address, so to speak. We don't own the content. That's for the writers and uploaders to the degree that someone owns the content. But they are released under a free license. So the simple explanation of what we do is that we handle infrastructure, technical infrastructure, legal infrastructure, social infrastructure, servers, product development, and so on. We don't have monopoly on these things. Plenty of other organizations do technical development around the Wikimedia wikis, plenty of volunteer developers. it is an open source project, but that's what we do as a simplified explanation. Future Audiences is an initiative within the Wikimedia Foundation to explore changing social and technical landscapes online. We're part of the Wikimedia Foundation product department, and we try to look at things like how changing user patterns look like when it comes to social media, search, how people get their information, but also AI, to figure out how do the Wikimedia wikis fit into this. My name is Johan Jansson. I am part of Future Audiences, coming from the part of the movement communications team, which works with product and technology. So I'm an intersection between the Wikimedia communities and the Wikimedia Foundation staff, working on the processes that Fiona mentioned, making sure that people are informed and can be part of deciding what are we going to do, influence our work, and be aware of it. When I'm not working for the Foundation, I am mostly active on Swedish Wikipedia, but also on English Wikipedia and Commons. And we do experimentation. The team tests hypotheses. We do not build products. So this is an experiment to learn as much as we can about the intersection of the Wikimedia wikis and AI. And compared to building things, which might work well as products, our approach is supposed to be quick and cheap. We want to be able to empower the Wikimedia Foundation and the Wikimedia movement with information about what we see in our experiments and make recommendations to the rest of the Foundation if they should build something. If we see something that shows real significant promise in our experimentation. Because I see two risks looking at organizations and AI. And one is to ignore what's happening and very possibly be left behind and become increasingly irrelevant. The other is to overinvest in AI because it's hot and interesting without understanding how it can actually solve our use cases. And by doing quick, cheap experiments, we hope to help avoiding either of these. So the first AI experiment that we did was, to see about free knowledge everywhere, was a Wikipedia plugin for ChatGPT. It launched in July, and we wrapped up in January. And it would return article content from Wikipedia when suitable. So when someone was using ChatGPT, asking a question, if they had made a decision to install this plugin, the plugin would be like, yeah, this is a good thing to retrieve from Wikipedia. So it would show parts of an article as much as it could. This, of course, to be able to get information and answer questions without the hallucinations, but also knowing that we are a significant part of large language model training data. And if information is coming from us, then readers should be aware of it. So what did we learn? We didn't really reach any new audiences with this experiment. Plugin users were already heavy Wikipedia users. And it seems like there is no new paradigm for using LLMs to answer questions, to get information. People used it much like they would use search. And we have not seen any significant effect on our traffic from this. This is, of course, different from, say, Microsoft Bing building generative AI into the search results of Google doing that, but we can't experiment around that. We don't have access. We also learned that ChatGPT is pretty good at summarizing Wikipedia articles. That is not necessarily something that we as a team are pushing, to give up our control of how information is presented. But it was interesting to learn. We do not only look at ChatGPT, of course, but we do quick and cheap experiments. There are other people at the foundation who investigate open and free AI to a greater degree than we do, and we do not train our own models. Other people do that. The second AI experiment, which is ongoing, is called Citation Needed, and it's to see if we can help readers navigate information online. And it's a Chrome extension in English to see if Wikipedia supports a statement. People can install this extension. Then in the web browser, they can highlight a section, a sentence, and see if there is support for this statement in Wikipedia. The AI-supported extension will try to look up this information and show them that, yes, this is supported by Wikipedia, or no, can't find any support for this, or inconclusive. And this is trying to answer a few questions, like, do people want to verify the content they're seeing on other websites? Do they see Wikipedia as a trustworthy and credible knowledge source that is useful for such verification? That was another thing we learned from our first experiment, that when people saw that the information was coming from Wikipedia, they trusted it more, which is good, especially compared to hallucinations from ChatGPT. It would be frightening if people didn't trust us more than that. Can we reach new audiences or create new opportunities for current audiences to use Wikipedia by meeting them where they are on external sites as well? And can generative AI assist in searching for, retrieving, and making inferences about content on Wikipedia? Do feel free to try it out. You can go to the Future Audiences page on Meta and look up our experiments on generative AI and read more there, or you can come talk to me. I just also wanted to give you a quick sneak peek on an upcoming experiment, which is Add a Fact, and that is the next thing we're looking at doing, an experiment to find easy ways to add facts from websites to Wikipedia. So you have a reliable source, you see a fact, and you want to add it. And can we make this easier than it is today? That is what we're going to work on next. The common denominator here is that we use large language models as a bridge between human-created information and the reader, not as a source of information. We are the source of information, which we just want to reach the readers. Thank you. Now you can applaud.
Check, check, check. So I'm not seeing audience questions, but there is, let me see. Check, check, now I have lost in tabs again. I'm not seeing. Do you have a question? You want to pose one? You are going to have to speak up. I have a moving microphone.
Thanks. Thanks. How relates this experiment with ChatGPT with the future audiences exploration? So I understand it's an experiment, it's interesting, but I don't understand the relation with the future audiences.
So, if I understand the question correctly, we talk about future audiences in general. the potential future audiences and how is this related at all. So when we start looking at the first ChatGPT experiment, there was real questions about, is this how people are going to get their information? Remember that this started almost a year ago. The latest search in AI, the large language models, were fairly new. And both within the Wikimedia Foundation and within the Wikimedia communities, people were asking, so is this going to replace us? Are people going to go through ChatGPT instead? And we wanted to test, is this the case? And our experiment seems to say no, probably not. But if it was yes, then we wanted to make sure that the future audiences, if they were going to use ChatGPT, were going to be able to see Wikipedia content by having this plugin and to know where the information is coming from, so that we can keep future audiences and get new editors because they are aware of Wikipedia. So if they see something they want to add somewhere, they know that Wikipedia exists and can go there. Now we learn that this probably is not going to be, at least not as it works right now. Going to ChatGPT and asking it for information is not going to replace Wikipedia. But, at the time we really wanted to ask these questions. And I think people were more concerned about that a year ago than they are now, because we have a better understanding of how people are using large language models now.
Okay, thank you so much. And before going further, I think it's time for us to maybe, stretch a little, maybe stand up, move your shoulders, arms, and then, again, this is now the physical exercise, and then you have a social exercise. Then you turn to a person near you and introduce yourself and maybe exchange a couple of words about what you're interested in. Preferably not the person you know best, but somebody new. It seems like you. The same problem. check. A really marvelous discussion going on. I'm so sorry to ask you to return to your seats. We are going forward with the program. And I'm asking you to return to your seats. Listen to the speakers. You will have opportunities to speak with your peers much more. Okay, so inviting to the stage George Oates from Flickr Foundation.
That was quick. Thank you, everybody, for stopping talking. Hi, my name's George Oates, and I am the director of the Flickr Foundation. We were founded in about 2022, so we're still small and young. But our mission is to keep Flickr images visible for 100 years. And for those that don't know, Flickr.com turned 20 years old this year, and without anybody realizing, it's grown into one of the biggest image collections on the planet, coming in at about 50 billion or so images in the service. But having a century-long mission, in doing this, we also research and make things in response to contemporary questions. In this case, how Flickr images have been used as fodder for AI image generation systems. So today, I'd like to show you a project we made, and a publication we made, in fact, which feels nice to show in a room full of books. We wanted to explore the state of the art in AI image generation, and this is a project we made in the summer last year. So we found our inspiration in The Family of Man, which was an exhibition held at MoMA in 1955. It was organized by Edward Steichen, who was the acclaimed photographer, curator, and director of MoMA's Department of Photography. The exhibition showcased about 500 photographs taken in about 68 countries, celebrating the universal aspects of the human experience. And it was a declaration of solidarity following on from the Second World War. Photos from the exhibition were published as a physical catalogue, which is now considered a photographic classic, and I've actually got a copy of the catalogue here with me today, so you can have a look once we're ready to do that. So fast forward 68 years to May 2023, where after a conversation with one of our research partners, Eliza Gregory, about using that exhibition, The Family of Man, and the catalogue as a possible container for new projects in one of our programs at the Foundation. Eliza's colleague at the Sacramento State Photography School, Nick, tasked his students with curating a new version in 2023, reimagining and representing the family of man using contemporary imagery. So over the course of just 10 hours, his photography students collected about 200 images from Flickr, curating them to explore different themes like life during COVID, the bad Californian wildfires that happened that year, or the LGBTQ and BLM movements, as well as the more timeless themes we saw in the first version of love and the stages of life. So the result was this first version of the new idea, which the Flickr team, the Sacramento team called A Flickr of Humanity. And here's Maya Osaka, one of our interns from 2023, who helped by putting together a spread of this first version. And in the same way that the original The Family of Man offers a window into life post-World War II, this new piece, The Flickr of Humanity, offers insight into our world in the early 21st century. So imagine if someone in 2091, which is about 68 years from now, looked through this book, what would they see and how would they feel about 2023? So once we'd made that first contemporary version with the interns, I still had a few months that I needed to keep them occupied. So I proposed to see if we could recreate the original exhibition photography using AI. And the interns were up for it to find out what would happen. So the project had a good, clear scope. We soon found that recreating even 500 photographs was going to be a lot of effort, but the important thing to us was the project's outlook was a small container. Our main goal was to reveal and compare images described by humans with images described by machines. So here's what we set out to do, reading from left to right. So using the original photographs in the original book as the source, we followed two different paths. The first one was to write captions about those images ourselves, and then the second was to feed those original images into a caption generator, a program. Then we would bring those two types of captions back into an image generator program and generate the different options based on who or what wrote the caption. And then we just use that to compare and contrast the sort of output made by the machines versus the work that was done by us. Incidentally, I wanted to notice there's a digital copy of this original catalogue on the Internet Archive too. And we bought this physical copy because, you know, we had lots of discussions about whether it was okay for us to use the original photographs in this type of project for copyright reasons. So we bought a version of the catalogue ourselves, which we photographed just to use in this research context. And we also noted with happiness that there was a copy of the book on the Internet Archive. So we felt okay about using those photographs for this kind of research. Incidentally, I'd be really interested to chat with this group more about using copyrighted materials for image generation and other generative projects. So I wanted to give you an example of the types of captions that we made. The first one at the top is handcrafted, written by our intern Ju-won, who is a young woman from Korea, but she lives and works in London as a designer. Just stating her background. So her caption was a black and white medium shot of an Indigenous couple in their 30s with tribal attire and headdress from New Guinea, putting their faces nearly against each other and closing their eyes. And then you can see examples from three caption generators, including a woman in a dress and a man in a suit. And Ju-won actually spent a lot of time in the first few rounds of caption writing, and actually this process ended up being a bit more like a conversation with the program, tweaking here and shifting there, making adjustments to her specifics to move closer to the original picture. You can also see here we compared different image generators, in this case Desgo and Bing, and decided on Bing because it was a bit less porny, and we could also generate more images for less cost. You can see that top really weird image of a child, naked child in the grass. But looking at our overall target of some hundreds of pictures, we decided we needed to limit ourselves to 2 iterations on any given image. So that was also a useful constraint for the whole project, just to really tighten up what we were trying to do. It was also important to our project that we work with the theme of comparison. So we even laid out our generated version, which I also have a copy of, so you can have a look after. We wanted to lay out the generated version so it seemed like the original. And here you can see 2 spreads, one from the original and one from our version, right alongside each other, so you can really get a feel for what's happening. And we tried carefully to make that generated version feel a lot like the original, using the same or similar layouts and overall sequencing. And actually, that's a fun way to explore this work, so I hope you'll come and find me afterwards, because it's fun to turn them at the same time so you can really see one versus the other. And because we were trying to map our work so directly in this comparison framing, we were able to draw some particular conclusions, we think. The first one is that using Bing Image Creator to generate images with that sort of look is reasonably impressive when you're just talking about semantic information in the image, you know, this person doing this with that. But in certain circumstances, we found that service performed more errors when generating an ethnicity of the subject matter. And we felt pretty strongly that indicated underlying visual biases or stereotypes in the data sets that the image creator was trained with. We also made sure to watermark every generated images with a little Bing logo. We think that identifying generated images is extremely important, especially now when you don't know necessarily, or in fact, you know, stats are appearing where apparently 80% of us can't tell anymore the difference between a generated image and a real one. So I'd also love to talk to you about this specific issue of identifying generated work and how you do that, because I think we just need more examples of that. And we also use colour in the publication to show which images were generated through the machine workflow, where a program generated both the caption and the image. In this example, the original photo was depicting American soldiers talking in a war zone, and the computer generated the caption, "Breaking barriers and challenging societal norms, we stand together, bold and unapologetic, hashtag naked revolution, hashtag empowered men, hashtag unleash your confidence." So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so for us, this was both an exploration and actually a kind of time capsule. You know, it allowed us to explore the current state of the art in Microsoft image generation, at least for July, August 2023, and also to interrogate how much machines can do by themselves if they're left to their own devices, and actually they came up pretty short in our opinion. It was a fun piece of work and ironically really laborious for our two interns, Ju-won and Maya. It wasn't automated at all. That was another thing we wanted to do, not automate things, because I think we automate perhaps a little too much these days. But yeah, this slow work allowed us to really see and adjust our process and progress. It was fun, and we're really happy that we actually made a book that you can touch. You don't have to run anything by a command line or any of that stuff. So yeah, you're welcome to come and have a look at the books when we have an appropriate moment. And the book's also up online at the Internet Archive if you just want to have a browse of it at your leisure. Yeah, so to conclude, our journey into synthetic image generation really underscores the crucial role of human intervention in this work. While the machine can be guided towards accuracy by the so-called prompt generator, in this case a human, you know, we believe human input is required to flesh out context where the machine might be lacking, especially in the case of historical data. So that means there's a big challenge ahead for cultural heritage land, which arguably is already upon us, and that's about the scale of what's possible to access via computation and generation, but also whether working at that scale is productive or possible for us, especially if the work we require requires human review. So I think that's a bit of a tension here as we continue to experiment with AI. So thanks. As I said, I've got the books, and I just wanted to, actually, Susanna, I've brought a third copy I've got a second copy if you want to add that to your special swag for tomorrow. And I also wanted to just say hello to these folks from Aalto, the Society of Swedish Literature, and YLE, because you're in the Flickr Commons program, and that's something that the Flickr Foundation cares about. So if you're one of those people, please come and introduce yourself. I'd like to say hi. Thank you very much.
My little phone is not updated to show any questions so far. Right. Do you have? Oh. Do you have questions in the room? No. I would like. Oh, there we go. Good.
The importance of human intervention and collaboration with AI keeps coming up, and obviously the amount of work in this project puts you in a position to perhaps comment on a little bit more about what are the emerging skill sets and specializations that intervention is going to require of us.
Well, actually the sort of work that Maya and Ju-won actually did was quite conventional. You know, it was spreadsheets and indexes, making sure that they clearly mapped between the two publications. You know, they were very organized and methodical about it. So actually, you know, that's kind of work we already know how to do. And I think the other thing that we realized was this sort of sense of conversation with the machine, instead of just, you know, writing a program, running it on a million records, and then just being done with it. It kind of turned into a negotiation, which was a bit strange. But I think that's sort of natural for us to do as humans, is engage with each other and converse. So in terms of new skill sets, I think it's, well, I was just going to suggest it's about the sociality or you know, humanity of our engineers, our great and good engineers, making sure that they're making things human legible, you know, not just machine legible. Because I think, you know, we're passing around such giant piles of information now that we rarely look at, actually, which arguably maybe means they're not quite useful for us. But yeah, so I think, yeah, the humanity in engineering, I think, is a skill set that needs to be developed. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Right. The boys in the front row. So, calling on the stage, Kai Arne and Robert Silén. Are you coming both at the same time, or? Right, okay. That's a computing thing. Right, here we go. Helping you find your slides.
You can leave the face slide on, please.
Okay. I really like mouse, but it's not available. I probably need to explore. Yeah, it's there in the neighboring. Just a sec. I wonder, asking Janne. He's not here because I can't see the whole. I hope it's. Oh, it is.
Sure. Yes, my name is Kai Arne, and this was Robert Silén, and he will take over in 5 minutes. We come here wearing several hats, and the main two ones are MariaDB and Fredrika. MariaDB is the database that Wikipedia runs on, and that's my daytime job. Fredrika is a Wikimedia project focusing on the representation of Swedish Finland in Wikimedia or Wikipedia in Swedish and other languages, and that's Robert's daytime job and my pro bono job. And what we'll be talking about here is very much related to what others have been already saying, to the same choir that we all belong to, in particular Fiona Romeo and I think Osma Suominen. So we have 4 topics on generative AI, or specifically large language models such as Claude or ChatGPT or Llama 2. First, I'll present 10 conclusions about how to use AI to improve the quality of Wikipedia as an encyclopedia based on the work, action bias work that we've been doing in Fredrika. Second, I'll share the 3 goals that we had and have for our current Wikipedia projects. Third, I'll raise the ambition level here for us and perhaps and hopefully for others as well to the level of defending what was mentioned here in German, the word Bildung, the liberal Western world order, to put it in very lofty terms, and share also our thought about the role of the database in AI. And fourth, Robert will share the practical experiences gained during our AI work. So now for the 10 prime insights. First, use AI to improve the capacity of human Wikipedians. Second, do this by using AI as an infinitely eager, young junior research assistant. But 3, don't let the junior assistant update Wikipedia directly, or we will have a situation similar to LSJbot in Swedish with 1 million articles and Cebuano with even more, with bulk data of questionable quality. And this is very aligned with what others have been mentioning here today. 4, start from identifying great sources, high-quality books and articles, and then perform two types of analysis, AI analysis on them. The first one is called NER, Named Entity Recognition, meaning identify the people and the places and other Wikidata Q codes that are present in the source material. The second one, RAG, R-A-G, which I always keep forgetting what it stands for. It stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, which isn't very descriptive to me, but what it means is to let a large language model embed the source, translate it using its own terms into a vectorized internal AI format. And then compare that, that's item 5, compare that vectorized source data with existing Wikipedia articles. And 6, combine, be smart in the usage of human resources to put it in where it matters the most. People were here mentioning conventional IT, so using very simple traditional IT, you can read the stats on which Wikipedia articles are most used, which are probably the ones where your impact will be highest. So use the number of reads on Wikipedia articles. And then 7, use best practices of generative AI in the form of prompt engineering, which means to tweak the exact requests that are given to the large language model. And 8, do all of this with existing Wikipedia guidelines as the main priority. In particular, neutral point of view, NPOV, encyclopedic language, style, and then high-quality source references with pointers to the books and articles. 9, in this, never forget the appropriate usage of conventional IT and manual Wikipedia updates. So in our case, I've done Wikipedia edits in 40 languages, and Robert has done more than 50,000 Wikidata updates and 10,000 Wikipedia updates in Swedish alone. And the conclusion of all of this is our item 10. If you follow these guidelines and add a human subject matter expert, you can increase the human productivity in improving the content of Wikipedia by about 10x. So the goals of our projects are to improve Wikipedia contents and quality in 3 somewhat related ways. First, by increasing the pure amount of high-quality information, fill in the holes. Second, by identifying and correcting low-quality or missing neutral point of view, fix bugs. And third, by spreading quality information between languages. And that is a much more elaborate and difficult process than mere translation, because different language versions of Wikipedia have different cultures and practices and habits. So, raising the ambition level, I think we can raise it a lot. We think that the learnings here in very small test cases have a lot of potentials to greatly impact the overall quality of Wikipedia, and in particular improve NPOV, neutrality of information. So in another project that we've started, Project Katerina, we're focusing on removing Russian propaganda on Wikipedia. And the most urgent topic here is, of course, how Ukraine is represented. But Russian propaganda isn't limited to Ukraine, and propaganda isn't limited to Russia. So to accomplish this, we need to scale out the work and no longer work with Google spreadsheets or other tiny things, but with a proper database. And here, our overall logic is that it makes sense for the source data, the AI vector data, intermediate data, and the output result data to all be within the same database, which for Wikipedia and many other cases is MariaDB server. So now Robert will tell about the practical processes, the batch tools, the scripts and experiences gathered, how we came to this, using the example of a book called Ett gott parti from the Swedish Literature Society of Finland about Albert Edelfelt, historically one of Finland's top 2 or 3 painters.
Oh, yeah.
Slide.
Yep. Thank you, Kai, for that introduction. So, I'd like to share some practical insights when we've been, how we've used a source to improve Wikipedia articles. So, as Kai mentioned, there's 2 steps, central steps, or to improve Wikipedia with a source. The first step is to figure out what can be improved with a particular source. In this case, we used the book Ett gott parti, and we used the technology NER to identify what keywords are mentioned in this source and how they're coupled to Wikidata. So with NER, we identified thousands of keywords, and out of those, about 300 people and 300 locations had equivalent Wikidata objects. And through that coupling, we immediately got access to everything that is connected to that Wikidata object. So all the different Wikipedia language, article versions, and other resources also. So for 300 people, we had to prioritize them somehow. We didn't want to just automatically make suggestions for all of them. We could do that quantitatively, like Kai mentioned. We could look at how many times they're mentioned in the book, over 400 pages. Or we could check how often their Wikipedia articles are read to prioritize where there will be most impact in the improvements we do. But we also asked the actual author of the book to tell us where's the most potential, what are the greatest insights in these people that we should make sure are shared on Wikipedia. So we ended up choosing 70 people that we then created improvement suggestions for. So we used, so in this screenshot you can see the actual suggestions that have been generated by AI. We used Claude Opus for this, and we fed in the exact paragraphs that, for example, this person Adolf von Becker was mentioned in the book. So it was maybe 10 to 20 paragraphs throughout the book where he's mentioned. And we gave an exact prompt to AI to only use the material we're providing it. So the paragraphs plus the Wikipedia article we want to improve. And then we asked for one new paragraph to Wikipedia. And through this, we wanted to restrict the amount of hallucination or pre-trained model information that might be included by accident or by nature of large language models. And we found that for most times it worked quite well. We also asked it to generate 3 different examples, one shorter than the other, to get a varying degree of focus and encyclopedic briefness in the suggestions. In this particular case I'm showing, we didn't end up copy-pasting that exact improvement to Wikipedia as such. I adapted it slightly so that it would fit into the Wikipedia article. So a lot of this co-helping that Kai mentioned was involved here and working forward. But at the same time, realizing that by making better prompts, we could have maybe arrived even quicker to workable entries into Wikipedia. But we didn't just generate for 70 suggestions. We did this over 6 languages: Swedish, Finnish, English, German, French, Danish. So it was quite a lot of suggestions generated. But the important part was to at least get one language correct, and then you had somewhere to start from. So out of 70 suggestions, we put in 33 edits, and half of those were maybe copy-paste directly, and half we had to modify slightly. And the ones that were left out were actually, maybe the book didn't actually have enough information about those people or other aspects, so we dropped those. But if we had given better prompts to AI, it might have itself said, well, you should not be putting this in, this isn't relevant for the Wikipedia article, this isn't good enough. So there's a lot you can still fine-tune with the prompt to make it an even better assistant for work like this. And through experimentations, I'm sure this is a way that people will work with improving Wikipedia in the future. But it's good to start with very rough Python editing and Google Sheets, and when you scale it up to bigger databases, I'm sure even bigger and more UI-friendly tools, it will become an even mainstream way to improve on Wikipedia. But thank you for listening.
Thank you. We have quite a little time, but we have a question that I think is worth asking. Loading again. All these. Well, I'll try to remember if I can't make this pop-up go away. Pop-up. Okay, maybe refresh. Now it goes. So, the question is, it's about identifying point of view and propaganda on Wikipedia. And the question, the asker, is curious to know more about how you will be applying this work in the context of the EU elections 24. And be mindful of time, you have 2 minutes.
Not at all, because
To the mic.
we will not be doing anything at all related to the EU elections 2024. We don't have the time or the resources. I think the generic question as such is interesting, though. How will we pick what is important? And I think that goes back to this general education, Bildung, Allmänbildning, Civistus that was mentioned. What are the most current pressing areas where civil society, liberal Western society is being challenged today? And that's of course human judgment, not AI.
Okay, thank you so much. So I must say I'm struggling with controlling the slides, but I will do my best. How is it? Okay, maybe just go forward. No. Yes. But I'm not going to try to make it full screen, so we'll just enjoy the moment for a bit. Like
Okay.
this is your.
But I think you have to open the other tab.
I will do that now. Now, first we did this. But then which ones?
I'm not sure.
Probably the last one, because I've got them over. Where's this? There. Top. Left. Okay, thank you. Right? The right one?
Yeah.
And then left. There we are. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Colin,
That'll work.
maybe you introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so open in AI. So thank you, Susanna. Thank you, everyone from Of One Glam for organizing and hosting. Thank you to the sponsors and other supporters, Wikimedia Foundation, Flickr Foundation, and everyone else for making this possible. My name is Connor Benedict, and I'm the Open Culture Coordinator at Creative Commons. I'm just going to start by apologizing for any repetition. It looks like there's a lot of alignment and shared values, which is great to see. So if you get bored, just enjoy the GIFs. Oops, wrong computer. This one. Okay. Over the past few years, Creative Commons has been working on exploring AI, its risks and potentials for creators and institutions, as well as public interest. Before getting any further, I want to note that Creative Commons uses artificial intelligence and AI as shorthand for a complex field of technologies and practices currently involving machine learning and large language models. Using the abbreviation AI is easy, but we recognize that AI is not really artificial in that AI was created and used by humans, nor is it intelligent, at least not in the way that we think of human intelligence. Through listening sessions and workshops around the world, we've learned about many of the pain points where AI further entrenches current exploitative power structures. We've also recognized legal and ethical uncertainties. On the other hand, we recognize the amazing opportunity generative AI presents to individual creators, cultural heritage professionals, technologists, and the wider communities. And we recognize there's no turning back the technical development in this field. Some of the challenges include privacy and digital surveillance, the data scraping, for example, labor concerns, human work being replaced or reduced, entrenched marginalization, language representation as an example, resource consumption and sustainability, the huge energy cost of data centers, the obvious risk of misuse of technology for dangerous or harmful applications, when we cavalierly expect the use of AI as a shortcut for thoughtful, time-intensive decision-making based on communication, reflection, and analysis, the resulting damage is often unseen and least felt by decision-makers. The lack of transparency and opaque systems, the so-called black box effect, disinformation and misinformation, passing on wrong information, whether intentional or not. And lastly, copyright. So copyright falls into three main questions. Does one need permission from the copyright owner to use a work for AI training? Is AI-generated content protectable by copyright? And does AI-generated content infringe existing works? These questions fall into two buckets related to the input and output of a system. Regarding input, there's ambiguity around whether AI companies infringe copyright with AI training. To date, there are few jurisdictions with clear and actionable legal frameworks for the text and data mining needed to train AI systems. In the EU, there is an explicit exception for AI training, subject in part to opt-out terms. Key next steps in the EU, also part of what we're going to work on this afternoon, is agreeing on suitable technical standards for opt-out. But even where training AI does not legally require any sort of permission of use, many creators feel robbed of their dignity as their creative works are ingested by AI for the creation of new media, with no attribution. Regarding output, despite some case law, there is still a lack of clarity around the copyrightability of AI-generated content. We have yet to define the threshold of sufficient human originality. How many prompts are needed to demonstrate originality in the creative input? We do not know answers to the questions such as, is the output substantially similar to previous works? If so, who's responsible? The EU's AI Act leads the world in safety regulations, highlighting copyright infringement as a risk for which we need to account, but it has not yet become legislation. CC calls upon cultural heritage institutions, such as those represented here, to contribute to diverse, representative, non-discriminatory, and unbiased AI models by sharing their collections for AI training and to mitigate the impoverishment of the commons by withholding access to collections. Together, we should support pro-social technologies, and cultural heritage institutions must play their part in supplying technologies with trustworthy content that reflect our diversity of human experiences. There are, of course, also many opportunities for AI in open culture. I'd like to share some examples that we are not directly involved in, but to give an idea of what's possible for cultural heritage. Artificial intelligence in cultural heritage are employed to, for example, automate descriptions and categorization. They play a role in addressing challenges related to attribution and the interpretation by identifying aspects such as the author, the context and time period of the work. The Internet Archive, for example, uses AI to empower librarians in enhancing the discoverability and usability of materials on a large scale. By ensuring thorough descriptions and easy accessibility of artifacts within the Internet Archive, the organization now facilitates researchers and the general public in embarking on previously inconceivable projects of exploration and discovery. Reflecting on the impact of AI on language translation, we can consider how Firefox leverages AI to translate web pages into even underrepresented languages online. This has the potential to mitigate underrepresentation and the significant inequities of the internet, a concern that, as mentioned, can be exacerbated by AI. In conservation areas, artificial intelligence algorithms are pivotal for detecting damage and devising precise restoration strategies. The utilization of AI aids, the use of AI aids experts in safeguarding delicate works and archaeological artifacts. Furthermore, AI contributes to the safeguarding of heritage sites by monitoring environmental factors and addressing physical effects. Through AI sensors, the data analytics potential risks like temperature variations, humidity shifts, and air pollution are identified, enabling prompt action to minimize environmental impacts. This will increasingly become relevant with climate change. AI also aids in reconstructing artworks, finishing incomplete compositions by musicians, attributing authorship to ancient texts, and offering architectural insights for potential reconstruction by extrapolating patterns in ways that were previously unattainable. Finally, AI technology in customs screenings can be employed to combat the illicit trafficking of cultural goods. This is achievable by matching scans of databases containing information on missing or stolen artifacts from collections, nations, and archives. In many of these examples, the AI systems benefit from open access to cultural heritage data. Of course, some applications of AI software and systems are internal, where the output is based on internal information for internal purposes. Two examples where AI can directly benefit open culture are in the automatic assessment of copyright based on available information and in making contextualization of materials available in multiple languages. At CC, we continue to work toward, firstly, clarifying the legal structures supporting the commons, including our licenses and legal tools, and how they interact with AI. In evaluating how CC can collaborate with builders and innovators who share our values and our vision for generative AI in the public interest, and to develop and test potentially co-create solutions that tackle these challenges. For example, later today, for the hackathon, I present the question of how cultural heritage institutions might engage with, respond to, and benefit from preference signals to opt in or opt out of specific AI training. What CC is exploring is a way to indicate what kind of use in AI technology is preferred or not, and under what conditions. These could sit alongside the copyright licenses we are known for. We are also championing the considerations of raising public interest and negotiations around AI policy, and engaging our global community to develop and refine our shared understanding of AI's impact on the commons. No matter what, we support a diverse global community of creators and believe they must be involved in the conversations, input on regulation, and be part of the experimentation of these various tools. We might not always get it right, but we come to this with curiosity and deep respect for our interconnectedness, and we believe that this conference is a great opportunity for that to be fostered and to grow. I will just plug, we have a webinar on Wednesday, very much in line with this subject, on AI and open culture. which you are all welcome to sign up via the QR code. Thank you.
Thanks so much. It was really packed with information. And I'm curious, because there's so much information and insight, so how do you go about gathering this insight? As you mentioned, this is a good opportunity for contributing to that insight, but other than that, what kind of ways of working have you had in regard to this?
So besides the webinar, you can always join the Open Culture platform, which I know many of you are part of, where we have monthly conversations about not only AI, but different subjects in cultural heritage and preservation and things like that. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you. That was a short answer.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks. I think we will go forward because I must give time to my struggle with the slides. I will welcome Alicia Peskovska. Is that right? Very good. And we will go and find the slides. Oh. Where's the? Yeah. Right there. So let's see if it changes but maybe we can try to make them full screen, but is there a full screen? Let's try Control F. No, that's fine.
I won't see them. That's okay.
Sophia might know how to make full screen. Like shortcut, I don't want to go into the menus blind. Control function also. Function.
It's a PDF, that's why. Try this. Oh, okay. Yeah, try that. Oh, F11.
Not good enough. Shall we say good enough?
It's good enough.
Okay, I'm again letting you introduce yourself. So, well, maybe I will say Alicia Peskovska from Open Future. So, and together with Connor, I think we, are concluding this with a kind of a look into the policy, into the landscape into which we want to mold this. Into which we want to mold this. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi everyone. So I have this. I have the slides in a PDF document, which is why this is how you're going to experience them. And because I can't see them in front of myself, I might be occasionally looking behind me. I hope that's fine. I am the last talk today, and I'm going to make it quick. It is, many people said already that we are like of an at least similar mindset here, so I'm going to freestyle a bit with my presentation, and instead of repeating some ground ideas and inspirations, I'm going to focus a little bit more on what we are working on right now that you might in different ways interact with. My name is Alicja Peszkowska. I am from the Open Future Foundation. We are a small think tank. It's just 5 people. We're all remote. I am actually an engagement lead, so I work more with community building and communications. And before joining Open Future, I was working on other projects with open data and open culture. The foundational idea for Open Future was that we believe in the value of the open internet and that the opening up resources and open sharing is important. But there is a problem we have with openness. Maybe it's not inherently with openness, but openness in the context of this capitalistic system we all operate within, and it might be maybe illustrated by what has been happening to AI development, something that was maybe still 5 years ago associated a bit more with open research, open source, open science, and right now, especially maybe to the wider public, it is synonymous to proprietary products built on top of all of the open internet that we've built together. We call it the paradox of open. All of our ideas that we're a team of researchers, so we're mainly researching, kind of aligning and formulating some policy proposals. So all of them are addressing this paradox. AI is a technology, so it's all about the context. It's nothing in itself, and we must interact with this context. To maybe point up to the problems we see with AI right now, it is the market concentration and the impact it has on the open free knowledge. This has been debunked by Johan today, but we all know that it is affecting the openly shared resources in various ways, and it's better to be proactive about how. Well, the answers we have are pretty broad. As I said, it's a think tank, so we are theorizing. But sometimes theorizing is good, and it can help transport some of the ideas and prototypes from the doers to the policy level. It's basically all about what has been brought up today a lot. So about keeping the human and the community in the loop. It's about working on these tools together, trying to control them together, trying to govern them together, trying to come up with ways in how this technology can serve humans. Imagining the future that would be better. This is why these are some fundamental principles that are guiding our work. We have to do this because we deserve technologies that are human-centric and serving public interest. Yes, and I think the two ways we're promoting is one is participate in building alternatives, and then come up with ways in which we can protect the commons, be it through maybe regulation. Especially in the EU, this can be a solution. Some inspiration maybe for this type of thinking. And let me maybe go to the things that we are currently doing that you might participate in. I think, so we are hosting these, for example, monthly community calls on AI in the Commons. I don't know if David is here because I looked at the list of participants, but maybe some of you know about them already. Johan has been a guest on one of these calls. One of our recent guests was Pierre-Carl Langlais, so a person behind the Common Corpus, the biggest public data set to date, that has also talked very inspirationally and aspirationally about how building open data sets and based on ethically sourced content can be one of the responses. So Common Corpus is as much the largest public domain data set as it is also kind of a model of intending to make generative AI more commons-based, also in terms of values. Then something I wanted to highlight is, this is an illustration from a recent publication we did, which was an outcome of a workshop, and it was all about building a books commons data set that, again, would be more ethically sourced and governed in a proper way. So we did a study on this. This is an illustration of a recent AI and the Commons alignment assembly. So it was an online process, a follow-up to the Creative Commons Summit, where at a workshop, a group came up with 7 principles for regulating AI according to AI in the Commons, like stewards of collections and creators. And then we continued this process online. And even though we used a tool called Polis, so even though like officially we have stopped sourcing responses, we haven't closed the system, and we will be still looking into people interacting with it, and the report from this experiment will be available next month. And that's another recent paper about commons-based dataset governance for AI, identifying 6 principles for how it could be done better. And one last thing I wanted to mention about the activities that I invite you to join the AI in the Commons community calls, and if you want to, just let me know, because I am kind of in charge of the list, so I can sign you up for it. And actually the last one this season is going to be about open heritage, so you're warmly invited to join. We are also organizing, I don't know if any of you are coming to Wikimania, which is in Katowice in August, and a day before Wikimania officially starts, together with Creative Commons and Open Knowledge Foundation and Wikimedia Europe, we are organizing a kind of a policy workshop for the future of the knowledge commons. So if you're going to be there, also please come and participate so that we can learn from you and include your perspective. This is what I think, and this is what we think at Open Future. Well, thank you, and you can go to our website for more resources. If you're interested, you can use the Slovia QR code to sign up for the newsletter, which would keep you posted about some of the theoretical work and some of the events we're organizing. I am here mostly to learn from you, but if there is anything that we can contribute to the conversation, it's there, and also I'm here. And yes, join our events if you can, so that we can continue this conversation or have a conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's here. Thank you so much. There's again so much information and so much insight. Maybe do you have an idea? Do you have an idea of how you might want to tap into this group here, and like what kind of activities could be done during this hackathon for you to learn from, or like?
I was mostly hoping that I'm going to join one of the groups and hope that I can help, and also just observe. I think a lot of our work is theorizing based on like actual community build solutions, so I mostly want to interact with you, and yeah, I hope that I can be helpful.
Well, I think this concludes it perfectly. I think we all want to be helpful to each other. Thank you, and big hand for everyone, speakers, as well as all of you. I'm not trying to struggle with the slides. I'm just going to tell you what's happening next. So lunch is going to be served downstairs in the cellar, and I told you it's going to be these rolls and smoothies. And if somebody is really, really hungry after a vegan meal, then there's also just for some time more, the cafe upstairs. But in the afternoon, that will be closed. So whether or not it's ready, you can go downstairs, and the same place where we served coffee in the morning, and convene back here in an hour, so at 2 o'clock. We will start it with a panel discussion where I invite as many of the speakers as are willing to put themselves to to the situation, and we want to continue discussion now, like make it put all the discussion that we didn't have the time to have between these presentations to conduct that in that context. So talk to each other, have a good time. See you back here in an hour. Oh, there's a question. I would say yes. Ilkka, can stuff be left here? I think it's, you know, if you trust each other, then I think, well, I can't. Uh-oh, did someone say? Okay. So that's the judgment. Yeah. Thank you. See you soon. Janne.